need to get really clear, what do you want to achieve with your property investing? I believe you should make an offer on every single property you view. Why? They cost a little bit more money to set up, but you get a much higher rent, you get much lower void periods, and basically you make good money. If they accept your first offer, it means you've actually paid too much and you might secure a great deal, maybe even at a price lower than the offer you initially made. Hello and welcome to the Property Magic Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to share with you the 6 steps you need to secure your next or your first property investment deal. Step number 1, you need to get really clear, what do you want to achieve with your property investing? You see, the problem is there are so many property strategies out there. Often people get overwhelmed, they get distracted by the new shiny penny, they get analysis paralysis, and they get stuck and they don't know how to move forward. The way to cut through that and get clarity is to work out exactly why are you investing and what do you want to achieve. You see, there's a big difference between someone who wants to create a passive income to maybe replace their salary from someone who wants to earn big chunks of cash. And different strategies will give you different results. Now, most people I speak to, they're looking to replace their income. They want to create passive income. So you need strategies that are going to make monthly cash flow for you. So you might use single lets, you might use HMOs, service accommodation. You need to decide how quickly do you want to get there. You see, let's say you want to get £3,000 a month. If you're doing single let properties, you might need 10 to 20 properties to achieve that £3,000 a month. However, if you focus on a high cash generating strategy, such as high-end HMOs, you might only need 3 properties because they should be making at least £1,000 profit per month. That's profit after all expenses. So you've got to get clear on what strategy you want to achieve. So let's say you want to get cash flow. You say, actually, HMOs is going to be a great strategy for me. Now, there are lots of different ways of doing HMOs. You might have your own money that you can use as deposits to work with. You can buy existing HMOs, which is a good thing to do. Many landlords who are looking to retire, they don't want to be a landlord anymore. They've got a property already set up that meets all the requirements of an HMO, safety-wise and compliance-wise. Maybe the property is just a bit tired and it needs a bit of love and care. And a small, cost-effective, cosmetic refurb will bring it up to scratch and you can raise the rents and make it a much more profitable opportunity. So you could buy an existing HMO, but you don't necessarily need to buy. You could pick them up on a rent to rent, where you rent it from the owner and you rent it out for more money, having cosmetically improved it. Or maybe you get a purchase lease option, an owner who wants to sell, but they're happy to rent in the meantime, and you buy it from them in the future. So once you understand what strategy you're doing, there are lots of different ways you can do it. Or maybe you joint venture, where you find the property and someone else puts the money in. But first we get the clarity about what strategy I want to use. And my personal view, out of all the strategies in the market right now, I think there'll always be a demand for high quality HMOs, houses of multiple occupation, where you're renting to students, young professionals or working people. And I like HMOs because they're a steady income. Yes, you can make really good money with serviced accommodation, but the income tends to fluctuate up and down. So my recommendation to anybody starting, as long as you learn how to do them properly, is HMOs is a great strategy for you to be starting with or using as your next property purchase. Now, once you understand what you want to achieve, you need to find the area in which you are going to invest. For most people, where they live or work is probably going to be the best area for them to buy their next investment property. That's because you're going to know which are the good areas, which are the not such good areas, and you could do the research to check there's a good, strong rental demand. If you remember my 5 golden rules from my book, Property Magic, golden rule number 2 is we only buy in an area with strong rental demand. So let's say you've decided to do these HMOs. You can go onto spareroom.co.uk, which is the main website that landlords use to advertise their properties. In fact, tenants also advertise to say they're looking for rooms. And you can look in any particular area to see, is there a good demand for property here? You can check what are the actual rents I can achieve, and you can see what's the standard of the other accommodation being offered. Now, Just a tip on HMOs, there are a lot of very average standard HMOs. You don't want to be doing that. There is an oversupply. What you want to be doing is high-end co-living HMOs. They cost a little bit more money to set up, but you get a much higher rent, you get much lower void periods, and basically you make good money providing great accommodation for your tenants who often stay there long term because they become part of this community. So pick your area. Now, you don't have to necessarily invest in the area in which you live or work. My view is you should become a property investor, not necessarily a property landlord. A property landlord is someone who looks after and manages the property themselves, and you can do that if you want. But for me, investing in property is about creating income and also time freedom so you can do whatever you want to do with your life or whatever is your passion. If you're managing your properties, you may not necessarily be able to do that. With that in mind, if you're not managing themselves, actually, maybe the property could be located somewhere distant from where you live. You could invest in a city or a town that's got a really good demand where maybe property prices are a lot lower than where you live, and actually you might get a much better cash flow and return on investment. So don't think you necessarily have to invest where you live. That is, as long as you have a good power team on the ground in the area in which you want to invest. And that's step number 3. You need to put your power team together. So who is your power team? Well, obviously, as I've just said, it's going to be people on the ground. You're going to have local estate agents who can find good deals, or maybe local deal sources. You're going to have local letting agents who can manage the property for you. You're going to have a local mortgage broker who actually doesn't have to be local. They can operate around the country, but ideally someone who understands property investing and they're investing themselves. You need a solicitor who's actually help you buy the property. So you need a whole team of people. And the best way to get a power team is through word of mouth recommendation. And the way you can do that is attend the local property investor network meeting in your area, in the area in which you want to invest, and ask other people for recommendations. Hey, who's a good plumber or a good builder or good solicitor who you know? And most people will be happily recommend these people to you. So step number 3, to build your network, to build your power team, why not attend your local property investor network meeting? Hopefully, if you listen to this podcast or watch the videos, you've already been to a PIN meeting. If you haven't, oh my God, where have you been? Why have you not been yet? Go to www.pinmeeting.co.uk, find your local meeting. There are 50 plus around the UK and a couple in the Netherlands as well. Book into your local meeting. It's only £25 to attend. And by the way, if you've never been before, you can use the voucher code podcast and come to your very first Property Investor Network meeting completely free of charge as our guest to see what you've been missing out on. And at those meetings, you'll meet other like-minded people in the area, on the ground, who can maybe help you with your investing. You might meet potential joint venture partners there, people who can find deals for you, people who can fund deals, and also your power team, your solicitors, your mortgage brokers, and get recommendations at those meetings. So once you've got your power team in place, you know what area you've got and you know what you want to achieve. Step number 4 is to start looking for properties. Of course, you can look in that area on Rightmove, on Zoopla. You might meet people at network meetings who've got properties you can buy off them. You obviously always need to do your own due diligence, or you can just use Property Filter. Property Filter is some amazing software. The guys who created Property Filter came and did my training. I taught them how to find great deals, which you can do manually, but they've just automated the whole process. And we actually pay for Property Filter for all the people on my year-long mastermind program and all the people doing coaching with us, because we know it's the quickest way to find great deals for motivated sellers in your area right now. So I highly suggest you subscribe to that. If you're already using it, you know how good it is. I'll put a link in the comments below this video. You go and check it out, get a 14-day free trial. And if you decide to subscribe, and why wouldn't you if you want to find great deals in your area, you actually get 50% off your first month of subscription because you click on my link. Once you're looking for good deals, the next step is you actually need to make offers. Now, that can be a bit scary sometimes. I understand that. You think, well, what if they don't accept my offer? Obviously, you need to know what makes a good deal. But I suggest when you find good deals from motivated sellers that you'll find on Property Filter, step number 5, start viewing properties and actually making offers. I believe you should make an offer on every single property you view. Why? Well, first of all, it's good practice. You don't want to wait till you find the perfect deal, and because you've never done it before, you mess it up and you don't give confidence to the estate agent and to the seller. You want to be nice and confident. That comes through practice. So even if you don't want a property, you should still make an offer for that property. However, you're going to adjust the offer depending on how much you want it. If you really don't want it, there will be a price at which it's still a good deal, but that's going to be a very low price. If you want it, you're going to do your numbers, your calculations, work out what makes a good deal for you and make an offer close to that number. By the way, I recommend you always offer 10% less than you're prepared to pay. Now, are they going to accept that offer? Probably not. But here's a little secret, a little bit of a mindset twist I want to share with you. Most people, we want to be liked. We want people to like us, to say yes to us. However, when you're buying property and you make an offer on a property, actually, you don't want someone to say yes. If they accept your first offer, it means you've actually paid too much. You could have paid less for that property deal. And of course, as investors, we want to pay as little as possible for great property deals. So you should make an offer that you know the seller is going to say no to, because then you can go back and say, okay, that didn't work. What would work for you? And that's when you start the negotiations. And very often, just coming up a couple of £1,000 might get them to agree to sell the property to you well below the price that you're prepared to pay. So make an offer on everything. Get used to making offers. Get used to people saying no, going back and renegotiating. And then the final tip to get your next deal is to remember that actually many people will say no, and even when you go back and negotiate, they're still going to say no. But no does not mean no, never. It just means no, not now. What you suggested right now didn't work for them. But most sellers become more motivated with time. And one of the ways for you to do more deals than the average property investor is to make lots of offers and then make sure you follow up on those offers. Because as time goes on, the seller becomes more motivated. What didn't necessarily work now might well work in the future. So I really recommend you keep a record of all the offers you've made and then go back every month or so to the agent or direct to the seller if you want, and just revisit the situation and say, hey, look, I'm still interested in buying. Are you still interested in selling? My offer's still on the table. Would you like to talk? And very often, after months and months and months of follow-up, they might come back and you might secure a great deal. Maybe even at a price lower than the offer you initially made. So following up is one of the secrets of a successful property investor. Most people don't do it. If you make lots of offers and follow up on all those offers, I guarantee you, you will be making a lot more money from your property investing. So I hope that helps. That's 6 steps for you to get going to get your very next deal. If you like this episode of the Property Magic Podcast, please like this video. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to make sure you're notified anytime one of these videos comes out. A new podcast episode comes out every single Tuesday. Until the next episode of the Property Magic Podcast, I'd like to encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. Check out the show notes. That's going to have a link to the PIN meetings. And remember to use that voucher code podcast to come to your very first PIN meeting completely free of charge as my guest. And if you're not subscribing to Property Filter right now, click the link, come and do the 14-day free trial and the 50% off the first month. You're going to be amazed at how easy it is to find great deals in your area right now. Until the next episode, invest with knowledge, invest with skill.